It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's the podcast and YouTube series where tattoo experts and piercing experts talk about some of the more common questions, concerns, etc. that you may have as someone who collects piercings and tattoos. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo, the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, and Duff Before Decaf. So we took a little bit of a break here, about a month, I guess. Did everybody have a good holiday season?
Christmas and New Year's for those of you joining us now. But yeah, it was a good holiday.
I had a really good holiday. I stayed close to home, so I didn't have to travel a whole bunch. And, everything went smooth. Like, all the toys worked, you know.
Didn't forget batteries.
Yeah, no flats, you know, nothing like that. So, awesome. Yeah, I got away pretty good and easy this year.
Lucky you.
Yep, same for me.
Jimmy did a bunch of traveling.
I did a bunch of traveling. Yeah, I lived on the road for 4 days.
Yeah,
I went to Virginia for 16 hours and one way, and then Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, came back day after Christmas, worked, and then we went out and drove to Colorado, 9 hours.
Jiminy.
Yeah.
I had a good time, though. Got to see all the family, got to see everybody, man. We had a blast.
See, I did it right. I jumped on the train, and I let the conductor on the train do all the driving while I'm asleep. But Jimmy, plans things 2 minutes after they've already happened, so he's end up driving. But
we're bailing out? Oh, okay. Yeah. Where's my parachute?
Let's go.
I just sat on the couch for 2 days.
Yep, I kept mine pretty simple at home, too, and not too far.
We already exchanged all our gifts and everything, and so it was really, it was kind of relaxing to just not have to deal with all the stress of holidays.
Yeah.
Boy.
That's nice. Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today is whether or not it's okay to go to a different artist after you've started a piece. Maybe you've started a tattoo, and for one reason or another, either the artist isn't available for you anymore, or you didn't like how it turned out. Is it okay? And most artists continue tattooing and what have you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one of those sacred cow kind of things where I'm not going to touch that artist's work because that's not ethical.
It's definitely there's definitely a bit of ethics and etiquette to it is what I was thinking. But cool.
I was just gonna say I've got this comes up all the time for artists, and being in 26 going on 27 I guess this year years. It's somewhat kind of changed. Back in the day, there was like 5 tattoo artists in the 500 or 1,000 mile radius, and every specific artist knew every specific artist, and it was a lot more kind of protected territory back then. So it was either you didn't want to work on, Tattoo Johnny's work because you knew him and you didn't want him working on your stuff, and it was just a way more kind of a personal thing. And so a lot of times artists, when somebody would come in with someone else's, they were of the feeling of, well, I don't want people working on my stuff, so I'm not going to work on other people's stuff. Well, my opinion is that's not your tattoo. That's the owner. That's the wearer's tattoo.
Client.
And if I was to do a tattoo on a client and they weren't happy with it, it's not like I own that part of their body now and it has to look the way I say it looks.
Absolutely not.
Screw that. No. I mean, I would want them to be as happy with that as they possibly can be.
That's the goal.
And if I can't get it there and they want to take it somewhere else and they juice it up and make it better so the wearer's like, yeah, I love it, great. I mean, that's the
ultimate
result.
Goal is for the customer to be happy. You're trying to make somebody feel better about themselves.
It's weird for me to think that just because I tattooed a portion of your body, I now own that, and I decide what happens with that part of your body. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They purchased that artwork from me. If they want to throw it in a bonfire, they can throw it in a bonfire. If they want to set it on the mantle and never, it's up to them. Yeah. If they want to sell it to so. I hold no ownership over it. They have no life debt to me to where if they want to do something with that part of their body, I have a say over it. But
I agree 100%.
Now, when it comes to the movies, it's different because after the artist that did Mike Tyson's eye deal, and he was in the whatever the movies were, the Hangover movies. He sued the movie, and he actually, from what I understand, won.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's not your artwork. That's Mike Tyson's face.
Yeah, and if he wanted to let him use it, then that's his
He
prerogative.
went to
It's
an
his. He
artisan
bought
to
it.
say, I would like you to decorate this.
Yeah.
And the artisan decorates it, and now all of a sudden that artisan owns
Yeah,
that.
owns
No,
it. No,
it's like
not
if
at
he
all.
was if I was a wall painter and someone called me in to paint a mural on one of their walls in their home. I don't own that wall.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
say,
man.
well, you can't put a couch in front of that.
You fucking be happy if you get a
You know?
shout out and
So-
be happy with that.
So now in
But-
the entertainment industry, now someone who has tattoos, if they're going to be shown on screen, they have to get a release from the artist who did the tattoo.
That's ridiculous.
So they don't get sued.
That's ridiculous. And
That's
that's
crazy.
the first I've heard of that.
So it's like, where do you draw the line?
Well,
You know?
and I know that like the anti-heroes sued American History X because they used one of their logo on a racist skinhead, which is a
That's
big
defamation.
thing
That
when
would be
you're not a racist man
right.
to be associated
Yeah.
with. But I think that once it gets on the person owns it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
completely about controlling one's own body. That's part of the whole point of body modification and body art is shaping it in a way that you see as beautiful or appealing
Right.
or expresses yourself. I think the biggest thing is this kind of like the old saying, if one can't top it, leave it alone when it comes back to working on somebody else's work. If you're going to go and get a piece done, and you get about halfway through it and your budget starts hurting, don't go to the cheapest Joe on the block
right,
because there's a
No.
reason why they're going to be less expensive, and they probably don't know the technique possibly as well as the person who originally worked on the tattoo, and you are not going to like the results, and they might be irreversible.
Right. Yeah, and maybe there are some artists, I'll say I'm sure there are some artists that say, oh, I don't work on other people's stuff because they feel that maybe they aren't up to snuff of that artist that that person wants them to work on, and they're just using that as a bit of a, well, I don't want to say I'm not good enough. I'm just going to stand behind principle, and I'll use that to dodge this. But I guess what I'm saying, I'm not dogging any artist that won't work on someone else's because that's their decision too as an
Yeah.
artist. I mean, as an individual, we have the right to say no.
Yeah.
I don't want a tattoo.
Yeah.
And the reason is Pluto is not lined
Yeah.
up with Saturn right now, and so I don't tattoo people named Xavier.
Yeah, whatever.
And that's the way it goes. So but for me, I'll work on anybody's stuff for the most part. There are sometimes people come to me and want me to work on something, and I just not seeing exactly what they're seeing or why, because what I'm looking at looks great or looks fine to me, and their complaint just, I don't see it. So I don't want to, I'm not going to jump into someone's skin when I think I know what they want,
Yeah.
Especially if they're already unhappy with something. Some people are like, this thing is just old and needs some juicing up. Okay, no
big
problem.
deal.
I can do that. But when someone comes in and shows you something that looks beautiful, it might have a little age on it or something, but so do you. So do I.
Everything ages.
So anyway, and I'm not seeing the benefit of it. I'm not going to take their money just to take their money. I might say, I'm just not clicking with you on this. I'm not
It looks
seeing what
great
you're
to
seeing.
me. I'm not seeing it. Yeah.
So there's tons of me out there. Go talk to another one, and maybe they'll click.
Yeah, grab
and
a second
they'll
opinion or
be on
something.
that. But for the most part, no. I'll work on some stuff. What are you?
No,
same
I'm
way?
in complete agreement.
Yep.
I can think of a handful of different times in life where it has been, clients just sometimes have come and they don't agree with their previous artist for one reason or another. And I usually try to take that as a grain of salt when they're talking about it. Maybe it's just a personality difference too. And the artist, maybe that artist was a great personality person just on an off day.
Yeah.
You know?
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it
we're
does.
all fallible. We're all human.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, if they come to me and say that piece just wasn't going the way I want, it might be a person I respect, but I'll still be like, yep, I get it.
If
Yeah.
I feel like I'm capable of doing as good of a job or better than what's there, then I'll jump
Yep.
into it and do it.
Well, it just
No, I mean,
comes
I've
down to if
seen-
you feel you can make the customer happy, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And same with me. If I found out that one of my clients stopped coming to me because of either my artwork's not good enough or because of a personality difference, well, then I want to know.
wanna
I
work
would like
on
to
it.
know that.
I would
And
like to
don't
know so I
always,
can work on it.
We don't always know that, but if you hear about it, through one way or another that they got it done by somebody else, then yeah, you weren't up to good snuff, and you should work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or same thing with your personality. Work on that. Obviously, you didn't get them meshed together. Maybe it could have been their fault too. But
Well, it's a very personal connection you have when you tattoo
absolutely.
people, man.
But
It's very intimate.
and if it's personality falling out between me and my client, then at that point, I'm happy probably that they're going to somebody else who's clicking with them and able to finish that up work. So
Right.
I'm in pretty much
one of the
agreement with you. Like,
comfort.
you know what? They're getting it done by somebody who enjoys their personality and is doing a good job for them, and I respect that artist. And it's not about the money to me for them to keep coming back to me and
Right.
get the piece done.
Yeah,
So,
the end result is the customer getting what they want, and on the artist side, having fun, not only doing the tattoo, but with the person, having a good rapport, and giving them something that they want. So if they're not getting what I want them to get out of the whole experience, then I would, if I'm not able to supply that, then yeah, I'd want you to find someone who did. But I'd like to also know what it was about the experience
so I can
that I
work on
wasn't
Yeah.
getting right with you, because
Are you saying you want closure?
Well, no, I want to know, so maybe
creative
maybe it's
criticism,
something
so
like
you
yeah,
can-
maybe
you
I
know
can
what I mean?
improve.
If you have a
yeah,
fault,
yeah.
Because you've had it, somebody comes in and
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
"Oh, I cheated on you. I
Well,
went to Joe Smo and got
yeah.
tattooed." And
okay.
and they're almost like ashamed about it.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
worried how you're going to react to it. And
I
it's
don't
like,
care.
well, Joe Smo's fucking incredible. Then
then you got a great
did
Wow,
Joe
that's-
Smo work
let
on
me
my
see
piece
it.
I'm working on you right now? No?
The only
Cool.
thing
I don't
Usually,
care.
I went to Joe Schmo. Can you fix it?
Yeah.
Like 90%
Yeah.
of the time.
Yep, sometimes.
But yeah, it's getting. I think it's getting less and less like
is.
that. I guess because back in the day, it was. It was.
Less to choose from, and the
Yeah.
skill
I'm
variety
trying
was
to
wider
think
because of that.
If there was a time I ever did that, and I'd almost say maybe, like way early, because I was just getting in. I was kind of learning the way things worked, and I didn't have enough knowledge to have an opinion yet. So I was
Right.
going on as
Yeah.
much as I had, and there might have been a time early on where I might have said, no, but again, I was probably hiding behind a bit of my ability
Right.
and not being able to do any better than.
Well, with work
what they
improving
were.
so much lately, like the Nico Hurtados and the,
Oh,
I
man.
mean, just the stuff they're doing is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like photographs. It's
Yeah.
better than my television. It's 4K.
Right.
So, like nowadays, I can see somebody coming in with something and being like, "Hey, can you do something next to this?" Like, I'm not. Really, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm very
Right.
good, but that's like a whole
It's
other
yeah,
level
there's some intimidating
of
stuff out
talent
there
and
for
shit.
sure.
So, like,
Pretty much no matter
you
who
know.
you are. But
Well,
that's great because then you can
that's
look at stuff
something
and
to yeah,
you-
strive
Have
to
you
do.
ever looked at an unfinished tattoo and gone, I don't know where you're going with
Oh
this.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I think part of that mind melt between the
Mm-hmm.
artist and how they do work, that can be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, depending on where they left off. If the
Yeah.
idea really isn't that developed and there's a lot of kind of, bloodlines and stuff in there, yeah, it can be
They can go anywhere.
like a puzzle, kind of putting it together because the client oftentimes doesn't really know.
They don't,
Yeah.
they haven't got the original reference.
And they're
or
unhappy
anything.
anyway, so
Right.
now you've got to try to
Figure out what they're
steer
not
it.
happy about and go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, so yeah,
That's
it
a
can
lot.
be tricky.
And back to going back to the artist and kind of letting them know why. With piercings, when something's kind of messed up and maybe the guy had an off day or something, I always found it helpful and always tell my clients, like, you're mad at him, whatever, go back and show it to him. Don't do it in a like, you messed me up, but go back and go, hey, I just want to make you aware you did this and this caused, and I went to this person and they fixed it for me. Because
Most
that's one
times-
of the ways that you learn.
Absolutely.
And most times, if you go back to the person who you're not happy with something, a lot of people will try to make it right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
If they care about what they're doing and they're doing it for the right
exactly.
reasons.
I'm not. If you're unhappy, I'm unhappy. I want you to be happy. That's the main goal of this whole thing.
Right.
I'm
As
helping
long
you
as you can
improve
be
your.
happy.
Yeah, I want you to be happy about the artist, the
Right.
person you sat down with, the art you came up with, the art you walked out with. We're supposed to be improving like what you think of yourself, your self-esteem, like your, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself, how other people perceive you. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah. We take it pretty serious, and anybody who does is going to want to make you happy.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And sometimes, like I say, it could be due to healing. It could be stress with the body. It could be maybe you're sick, you didn't know it. You get the flu 2 or 3 days after you've gotten a big piece. Like
There's a lot of myths out there.
all of that stuff, can attribute to like how the tattoo turned out. And like if there's something you're not happy about, 9 times out of 10, if you go in with a level head and talk to the artist, they'll be like, oh yeah. I had an idea, maybe that was going to do that. I had that feeling, blah 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 blah, whatever. And then you just fix it. It's really not that big a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, some people have weird ideas on how to heal tattoos or what may have caused a tattoo to heal poorly, and they can react quickly and start blaming or pointing fingers. I've always been the first guy to kind of try to squash the stupid myths about, oh, my skin doesn't take red and, you know, stuff like that, and put the blame where it belongs. You know, if someone comes in and says, yeah, this spot, you know, a little whatever, I'm like, yeah, I might overworked you a bit, you know. As long as you don't mess with it, it will calm down, it'll heal fine. And if it does need any touch up, we can touch it up.
Problem.
You know, or I'll say, you know, that's a spot that's prone to getting angry, or and a lot of times I'll try to pre-warn them, you know, if I'm doing work around those areas. I'll tell them, you know, try to be as tender as you can there.
And I know people aren't catching everything we're telling them at that time. But.
So, yeah, I've always tried to put the blame where it belongs, because prolonging those myths and everything about, like I said, about my skin doesn't take color or red, or and white hurts worse.
And the thing about that whole thing is if that's,
I guess
really
a whole other topic.
If that's really the case, the artist should have told you that beforehand.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
after the fact when you have a problem.
Absolutely.
You know, it should be something that's addressed beforehand, because, well, you're going to be doing a lot of this or a lot of that. That's a spot, what have you. If it's really going to be an issue, they'll generally go, hey, you know, you're going to notice a little bit of an issue here or there, like you said, being proactive.
And I knocked
Mic drop.
And I am cut off of my coffee. But, you know, and a lot of that comes with experience and knowing that, okay, well, you're a roofer. I'm not. It's not a good idea to put a portrait on your forearm.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're going to frickin' sizzle that thing off in about 2 years.
Yep. And don't do a bunch of detailed fine stuff on the hands.
And that skips a lot of that down the road problem. You know, so in 2 years, I'm not going to have him coming back going, well, what the hell is this, and having to hide behind certain.
Well, I always explain to people, it's like me being as education forward as I possibly can be has more to do with me being lazy. Because I don't want to deal with problems.
Right.
You don't want the problems.
It messes with my self-esteem. It makes a good day be terrible if I have to deal with a bunch of problems. I'd much rather have you have as much information and your expectations are correct than have you come in and go, look what you did to me.
Right.
And then when it comes down to, I think it's one of the hardest life lessons, and artists have a big problem with this, you know, and I pounded this in my kid's head, is like, first you admit you did something wrong.
Right.
Then you say you're sorry, and then you work on how to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's,
Doesn't that just go along with life?
That's in general.
You would think.
Everything.
Yeah,
makes your life a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, indeed.
Life's lessons.
Right. Life lessons.
Q&A in the kitchen.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I think.
What do you guys think? I've always said this a lot. Is when you're like being a tattoo artist is like being almost like a personality, like a radio DJ or somebody that hosts like a TV show. When you're at your shop or when you're out in public, people have a persona of us, and you kind of put on a personality when you're at work. Like, you know, even though I don't, hey, what's up? Yeah, you know, what do you want to do with that tattoo? And I don't do that when I'm at home.
No.
When I'm at home, I hardly talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like. Some people when they're out and about, they tend to be a little more rude, and I'm like, you have to. They see you as the person they know you from as the shop. So however you are when you're at that shop and in your place of work and what you're doing and you're doing your thing, you got to carry that over a little bit outside the shop.
See, I
because
that comes
all the
along
people
with
you run into are your customers.
I think that comes along with any job where you interact with the public, and especially the more personal level you interact with the public, the more, if they see you on the street, they're going to see you as that person, and if you're not, then they could take it weird. But really, like I said, that's part of working with the public, is being nice, being cordial, you know, giving them great service.
Self-awareness is very important for everybody in
So,
every aspect, but the self-awareness is a very...
we're providing a service, we want to be nice, we want to be approachable and all that stuff, and sometimes when we're out at Target and we've had a terrible morning and we just had to change our freaking tire and wait in line and all that stuff, and someone sees you and goes, "Hey, Jimmy," and you're like, ugh. You know, I mean, it's easy for people to expect you to be just this super awesome, cool person, and it's not always that easy, you know, because you're just a person.
Because I'd always run into that because with live music and everything, I was always in the same bar.
Right.
And I'd have people like Pierce like 2 weeks ago come in and be like, "Ah, can I buy a beer?" And then they want to hang out the whole night.
Yeah.
And it's really, I learned early on that I had to put up with it. It was just part of the job.
Yeah.
And when you really think about it, as artists, piercing artists and tattoo artists, we're a small portion of the population, so it's easier for people to find us than it is other people.
Yeah.
So, and I do think that's why a lot of artists, including myself, we turn into hermits. We don't go out as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little.
And we kind of burn ourselves out on that whole
Or you stand out in a crowd.
celebrity,
Yeah.
Rodney
Yeah.
Bingenheimer kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. I think, I gotta. When we go out, we just want to go out and relax and whatever. It's not that we don't love our jobs, but no matter what you do, you don't want to think about it sometimes.
You know, when somebody
And,
walk up to you and go, "Can you put this piece of jewelry back in?"
Yeah, and it's a lot
'Cause I get
easier
that a lot.
for someone to get that consultation out of the way at 12:30 at the bar because hey, it's that guy, than it is for them to make the appointment and come in and take time out of their life when we're actually coherent and are going to remember anything they say. But it's just part of it. It's the other side of that coin. The reason they recognize you is because you've got enough money to pay for that beer you're drinking at that bar.
Yeah.
So,
That's
if they
part of
didn't
it,
recognize you probably wouldn't be there in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
No, that's
And
what I'm
one
saying.
of the
Like,
reasons why you have the money to pay for this.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
it's trying to understand.
well, I know
that,
a lot of young artists these days, like, they disagreed with me. I used to have this argument in a lot of shops before I came here. And, like, they would always like, "Oh, man, you sit up front, and no matter what you're doing, if you're tattooing, if you're drawing, if you're whatever you're doing, once that door opens, you're, hey, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to so-and-so. Somebody be with you in a minute. What are you trying to do today? Blah, 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 blah." They're like, "God, how do you do that?" I'm like, "It's what we do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you worked for the circus, you're like, "Hey, I want you to come in and see the fat lady. See the fat lady. She's bearded. She's fat. She's here. Come see her." That's your
Alive,
job.
alive.
Yeah, live, right?
the first
action.
time ever
Live
in the
your first- You've never
Midwest.
seen her, yeah.
Well, it's
That's
like,
your
again,
job,
it
man.
comes
That's what
down
you do.
to providing a service to a client and acknowledging them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've heard in my shop people come in and we went down to tattoo shop A, B, or C or whatever down the road. We were in there for 15 minutes and no one even said frickin' hi to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not that complicated,
No.
I didn't think, but it happened all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in there and nobody even said hi and we just, So,
It's
really
crazy.
it comes down to just,
Customer service and
being nice
polite.
to people
Yeah.
and, providing a place that you'd want to come back to if it were you.
Yeah, and that's what
Exactly.
I generally tell people, like, when we get comments on the YouTube or anywhere else, and is go and visit these shops. Take a day out. If you don't feel comfortable there or welcome, then that's probably not a place where you
Probably
want to
not a
go.
good
I don't
place.
care how great the artist is. If they're complete jerks, you still got to spend time with them.
Yep. Yeah, very true. Yeah, it has to be pleasant, or at least you have to be able to work together.
Yeah, man. Like,
You
if
don't
this
have to
customer
become
wants a
best
big
friends.
piece, you've got, like, the next anywhere from an hour to 60-something hours to spend with this person very intimately.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
I hope they showered. I
The
hope they wore
internet gets you so
deodorant, brushed
far
their teeth.
that can narrow down your field, but it's always good to talk to people that have been tattooed by that person if that's possible, and go in and talk to the person, have a consult, especially if you're going to get into some long hours in the chair, because you're going to have to be able to sit next to this person for that long and get along.
And so make
Exactly.
the time go a lot faster if you have something to help
Yeah,
to
if
talk
you like
about.
them a little bit. Or you got
Right.
something in
Unless you
common
want
or
to just
something.
go be one of those people that zones in there and puts the earbuds in and doesn't say a word
mean,
for
that's
8
cool, too.
hours.
Right, and I used to be way, way more talkative than I am now, I think.
Yeah,
and
I've gotten less.
I've often, kind of thought about why, and I think it's just because really I'm just trying to do my absolute best. And the longer I tattoo, the more I've realized that, if I just shut the frick up and really concentrate on what I'm doing, not only
out
can I
better.
get it done a lot of times quicker, but it's going to be a lot better. It takes energy to keep a conversation going and to da 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 da. So I think it pulls a little bit of your processing power away from what you're doing, and depending on what you're doing, you might have a little processing power left over. You know what I mean? But there are other times that it's overheating your processor, and
Yeah,
you just
it's already
really
maxed.
want to close out as much as you can to think about how this light's going to bounce off of this bump to highlight this next bump, but leave a shadow in the valley. But there's going to be reflection off of this because it's white marble, so that's going to reflect some of that highlight off of the end of that valley. So it's going to lighten that valley up, and this valley is a little bit deeper, so those values have to be a little bit darker than that. So on this side of that, it's best not to carry on a conversation when your
Yeah.
processor's going. Psst.
Piercing's a little different.
Yeah, it's more of a kind of this peak, bang,
Bam,
and then
and
oh god,
then-
oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay, are we done? Oh god, okay, oh yeah, okay.
And that's
we're
how
done,
you
we're done,
judge
we're done.
your
Yeah.
client also is by conversating with them, their reactions.
Oh
to,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
what
I'll
they
talk
say
to
and
people
how they say to you.
like
stuff
during the
too.
piercing and ask them questions.
Yeah.
And some of them, and it's like, it's done already, and it's like, yeah. And I was waiting for you to, and I'm like, sorry,
Yep.
No
but
warnings.
it hurt less that way, didn't it?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah,
Unexpected.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of a good piercer who's done it a bunch.
absolutely.
They should be able to make it as it's
Quick
over
and easy as
Yep,
possible.
yep. So I think we beat that one to death. And
Wow,
added a
yeah,
bit
we
more.
went off on a couple different fun little tangents and stuff.
You've either been watching or listening to Q&A in the Kitchen, Season 2, Episode number 6. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. If you're listening to this, please subscribe to wherever you're listening to it. If you're on YouTube and you're watching us, hit the subscription and the notification bell so you're notified every time we post a video. Also, check out our merch store. We have a lot of great merch there.
Yes.
You
a lot of
have
new
some
stuff in
fine
there, too.
quality stuff.
I was gonna wear one of my new print all over print shirts for the show, and it's dirty, of course.
Because you can't stop wearing it.
I can't stop wearing it. I took it on.
They are nice shirts.
New Year's and haven't got it washed.
Anyway, till next time, hope all your tattoos and your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future.
Be kind to each other.
Be nice. See ya.
Later.